guys, welcome to my newest video for today. For today's video I'm going to be doing movies I've been watching. This is number 8, so this is going to cover the movies I watched in July and August. And I'm also going to be doing a separate video for the movies that I've seen in the cinema during these months. And at this point it will be only July and August that will get covered, because at the moment I'm currently in lockdown, so the cinemas have been closed. But yeah, I am going to do a separate video for the few movies I've managed to see at the cinema in this time. So starting off with, I continued sort of my Loki like movie theme binge after watching the Loki TV show. So I rewatched Avengers, Thor: The Dark World, Thor: Ragnarok, Avengers: Infinity War, and Avengers: Endgame. I love all these movies, but my favourite ones are like the Avenger films as well, even though I think I'm one of the few people who actually like Thor: The Dark World, so that, and then yeah, I also really enjoy Thor: Ragnarok, so that. And then I did have plans to go see Escape Room Tournament of Champions, but I never got round to it. But I did rewatch the first one. Oh, actually, I realised Avengers 2012 gets 5 out of 5 stars, Thor: The Dark World gets 4 out of 5 stars, Thor: Ragnarok is 4.5 out of 5 stars, and then both Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame 5 out of 5 stars. And then, yeah, so it's been a couple of years since I've seen Escape Room, but I still enjoy it. It's, I think it's, I mean, it's still, like, obviously very, you know, dark, but I don't think it's, I'm sure it's probably, even though I haven't actually seen the movies, I'm sure it's probably like a not as gruesome take on like the Saw films, but I gave Escape Room 3.5 out of 5 stars. Now this one I thought I'd actually seen, and then I was watching it and I was like, I don't think I've seen this all the way through. So, and that is Space Jam, from obviously the first Space Jam, because I rewatched it in preparation to seeing Space Jam: A New Legacy, even though I know they're like not really directly related to each other. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. It was yeah, I mean, there's not really obviously that much plot to it, but it was yeah, it was just a fun watch, and I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. Yeah, I think, because there's really only one scene that really stood out to me before, which I think is probably why I thought I'd seen it, and that's when, like, the Looney Tunes goes to, Michael Jordan's house to grab his stuff. I remember that scene, but I don't remember anything else, so I think that's probably why I thought I'd seen the movie before, but yeah, so that's, and then I rewatched Monsters, Inc., because I wanted to watch Monsters at Work on Disney+, but I've only seen the first episode, so, but yeah, it was great revisiting Monsters, Inc. It's definitely like one of my favourite Pixar films, and yeah, it gets 4.5 out of 5 stars. And then I watched one of the movies that I blind bought, and that was Hustlers. I know this got a fair bit of buzz when it first came out. I thought it was an interesting story, because I think it's based on a true story. And like, the performances were good. I don't think it was like quite the most amazing movie I'd ever seen, but I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars, so there's that. And then I rewatched Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. This is like one of my favourite movies, I'm not going to lie. This is just one of those films I can put on and rewatch it straight away. Like, I don't even have to rewatch the first Mamma Mia. I could just put on Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again and just, yeah, go to town with it. I love it. Yes, it's very cheesy and that, but it's just a movie I find a lot of fun, and it makes me happy watching it. So I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. So that's one. And then I also continued on with my Andrew Lloyd Webber musical rewatch. So this month, like these couple of months, I watched Phantom of the Opera from 2004, gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It's definitely one that is like very interesting watching it, because obviously it has Gerard Butler as the Phantom, and I'm like, it's so weird to think he's in this movie, but because obviously he's more known for his action films, but I do still like this adaptation, even though obviously the stage show is a million times better. So, so yeah, so I watched Phantom of the Opera, and then I rewatched the Phantom of the Opera at the Royal Albert Hall, which is a fantastic production, 5 out of 5 stars. I then watched Love Never Dies. I think this is growing on me, because I know when I first watched it, I was sort of like very much of the opinion was this did not need to be made, because it was like, because obviously it's a sequel to Phantom of the Opera. I do like the songs in this. Like, it's actually quite I love the songs, and yeah, so I think, yeah, it's obviously nowhere near as good as Phantom, but it's still, I still like watching it whenever I watch it as part of the franchise. Well, it's not really a franchise, it's just I sort of group all the Andrew Lloyd Webber musicals together, so. And then I rewatched Jesus Christ Superstar Live Arena Tour, so this is, yeah, I think a fantastic production. I saw this when it toured Sydney, so obviously, I think it was most of the same cast, but a couple of, like, King Herod and Pilot were played by local performers, so, because I know, I think it was Andrew O'Keefe, I think, played King Herod, and I'm blanking on who played Pilot, but it was, yeah, it's a fantastic production, and I love rewatching it, so that one gets 4.5 out of 5 stars. And then I sort of finished the main movies portion of it, because I do have a couple of concerts with his music, but I haven't got to them yet. I rewatched Cats from 2019. Yeah, as someone who loves the stage musical Cats, I love the, like, 98 version of it. This version's not good, and it's sort of sad, like, because obviously Tom, is it Hooper? Is that who directed Les Mis, and that's, like, one of my favourite musical adaptations. Yeah, and, like, with the cast, you'd think this would be good, but no, they try to make a story out of it, and it's just doesn't work as a linear story, so yeah. That one's still, like, very disappointing, so I think this is also going to be one that only gets rewatched as I rewatched all the Andrew Lloyd Webber musicals, so that was all that. And then the last movie I watched in July was, that I watched out of my collection or via streaming, was I watched Duel, which is Steven Spielberg's first film, and I really enjoyed this one. I wasn't sure what to expect, but it was, like, yeah, very minimal, very tense, and, like, you sort of start questioning whether or not he's, like, because obviously this one was, like, he's on a road, and then this truck starts pursuing him, and tries to run him off the road, and we don't know who the truck driver is, and yeah, and there's sort of points where it's like you think, oh, it's all in his head and he's imagining it, but then you're like, no, this is very much real, and so I gave that 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed that one. And then I watched Apolloway Tanks. This was a film I've been curious to check out, but I know it's gotten a lot of bad reviews in the past. I think it got pretty slammed when it came out, but I don't think it was that bad. This is sort of the take on, like, because the official storyline was, oh, Apollo 18 never happened, but there's, footage from, that, suggests that it did actually end up happening, but yeah, what happened was, like, really disturbing, and, yeah, it was definitely quite an interesting found footage film, and yeah, I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars, so not as bad as I was expecting, so that. And then on Disney Plus, I ended up watching Romancing the Stone, which I'd never seen before, so and this was actually a really fun action-adventure film, and yeah, I haven't checked out Jewel of the Nile yet, but that's also on Disney Plus, so I'll be checking that one out at some point. But yeah, I really liked Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner in this. I thought they worked really well together, so that was sort of seeing their like character dynamics, I think, just made it a really fun film. And also I did have to laugh at the line, because Danny DeVito is in this as well, and he, the part where in the cave trying to find the treasure, and he's like, we gotta hurry up before Batman comes home. That line cracked me up, because I was like, okay, that's, kind of funny, because, like, you know, 10 years, like, 8 years later, you're gonna be playing the Penguin in Batman, so, that might just be me, but I did like that line, so, but yeah, so watch Romancing the Stone. I think I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Then I rewatched The Thin Man from 1934. I did have plans to sort of finally watch all the movies, because I've still got, I think, 2 in the box set behind me that I haven't seen, and I was going to rewatch all of them, and that hasn't happened yet. But it was really fun revisiting this film, because yeah, it's just because I think that this one's interesting, because I think it was made just before the code, like this is pre-code, but it was like, because I know that came in 1934, so this film was released just before that, and it's very interesting, because this film's actually quite, you know, dark and violent, and there's a lot of drinking, and yeah, but it's, yeah, but it's also got very interesting characters, and I really like Nick and Nora in this, so at some point I need to get back to finishing this franchise, so I gave The Thin Man 4.5 out of 5 stars. Then I kind of got into some Batman films, because at the start of the year I wanted to sort of go through all my Batman animated and live action films, and that didn't happen. It hasn't really happened, but I managed to get through a few of them in August, so I watched Batman vs. the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This was a rewatch. It's a lot of fun, and I have actually read the comics that this is based on, and yeah, while it's obviously, there's some parts that have been changed for it, it's still great interactions, and I really love Robin and, like, Damien in this, because it's, I think sort of the first time where he's like, they sort of have him as sort of being like a little kid, and he's like, where he sort of makes remarks where he's like, oh, I've always wanted to push all the buttons on the Batmobile, things like that. I really actually liked that take on Damien, so, yeah, so I watched that one, that's 5 out of 5 stars. Because on Stan, they ended up putting a whole lot of DC animated movies, a lot of Justice League, Batman, Superman. Most of the Batman stuff I already own, but there's a few Justice League titles I was interested in checking out, so I watched Justice League War. So this is basically how the Justice League formed in this current, well, I say current because I think they've rebooted the timeline or something. I haven't quite worked out what's happening in this one, but I think they've got a whole new continuity going on, but so I think this was sort of how the Justice League actually set up, and yeah, I quite enjoy this one, so I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And then I watched Batman Gotham Knight, so this was sort of like a series of, I guess, mini episodes about how he became the Dark Knight, and like his training, and also I guess how his legend grew in Gotham, and yeah, we sort of get various perspectives on that, and I actually quite like that one because you sort of see like you sort of like have one where like the kids are recounting like what experiences they've had with him, and then also like from the cops' perspective and sort of stories like that. So I hadn't seen it in quite a long while, but I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I rewatched Batman and Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero, so I have this on my Batman animated series box set. So yeah, this one I find a lot of fun. It's because it's like you got Batman, you got Robin, you've got Batgirl. It's sort of yeah, it's one of my I think favorites of the animated ones. I know this one was like from the like late 90s, but I do quite like this. And then I also watched Batman Gotham by Gaslight, so this was a first time viewing for me, and it's sort of set in the era of Jack the Ripper, even though I think it's like it was still Gotham, but it was as if like Jack the Ripper was stalking I guess chose to stalk Gotham instead of London. But I will admit they did actually, because I haven't read the comics, so I didn't know this, like, how it would play out in this one. But I will admit they got me with the twists that they, like, who the eventual reveal was and that. But I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and yeah, and even though it kind of ended abruptly because I was half expecting there to be a bit more fallout, and then I was like, because it like at one point, like, Bruce Wayne gets accused of being the Ripper and he's thrown in jail, and I was like, and then sort of at the end he gets out to fight the real Ripper, and he's like obviously as Batman, and I'm like, did anyone notice that he's not there? So it was sort of yeah, I would have liked sort of them figuring out that, you know, he got out of jail, but and I did also like how Alfred randomly adopted Dick, Jason, and Tim for him. So yeah, that, like, at the end there, but I did still like it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And then I watched Teen Titans Go See Space Jam, because I really enjoyed Teen Titans Go to the Movies that came out a couple of years ago. But this one is them basically watching the original Space Jam and providing commentary on it with the aliens from the movie. It's just cute and a lot of fun, and yeah, I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. And then in August, the last of the Batman animated films I watched, and this was another rewatch, and that was Son of Batman. So this is obviously the one where Bruce finds out he has a son, and he the son basically, like, Damien, and it's Damien becoming Robin, and well, Talia is dealing with the power grab with the League of Assassins. So I really enjoy this one, and yeah, there's a lot of, like, great moments in here. So I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. So that was all like the Batman films I watched. And then because in August I ended up having a liposcopy done, so I was on restrictions for 10 days, and basically all I did was watch movies in that time. So there's a few extra films that I watched in August than normal. So first being, I watched a couple of movies I had on my Netflix queue. So I watched The Kin. So this is from 2019. I've been meaning to watch it for a while, and I thought, no, now's as good a time as any, because that was also the first week we went into lockdown as well. So I guess the timing worked well there. But yeah, so this was about Henry VIII and how he sort of became, like, he went from sort of being the king that no one wanted, and he, yeah, sort of how he became, like, quite a military leader. I quite enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I watched The Rundown. I believe it's called Welcome to the Jungle in other countries, but this is with The Rock. It was okay. Wasn't a big fan of this one. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Like, it was a, you know, fun way to pass the time, but nothing that I really need to revisit again. So yeah, that was. And then I rewatched Big Trouble in Little China. Really enjoyed this one. One of my favourite, I guess, action sci-fi films. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Then I randomly rewatched Warcraft, because I watched it a few years ago back when it came out, but because I'm not familiar with like the world of Warcraft and all of that, I was a bit lost with who the characters were and what was really happening. It made a bit more sense rewatching it, but yeah, it's still not really a title where I'm like, oh, I have to own this one for my collection. So it's still a 3 out of 5 stars. Like, it's not bad. It's just, yeah, I don't know. It's like, I think I probably would have got more out of it if I was actually, you know, into the world of Warcraft. But that one. Then I rewatched Ad Astra, so the sci-fi film with Brad Pitt from a couple of years ago. I still really like this one. So I hadn't seen it since the cinema, but yeah, I'm always up for, like, a sci-fi adventure film, so that. And then I checked out a movie called The Quiet Earth from on Amazon Prime. So this is from like 1985. I think it's a Kiwi film. I'd never heard of it before, but the premise sounded interesting, so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to check this one out. And it's basically about this guy who wakes up when he realizes that he's the only person around, and we sort of get hints to what happened to everyone, but he thinks, like, for the good portion of the film that he's alone. So yeah, it was very atmospheric and quite creepy, but I quite like this one, so I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I watched Pink, All I Know So Far, which is a documentary she did in the lead up to performing at Wembley. Is it Wembley, I think? It's one of the major arenas in London, and yeah, I thought that one was really quite interesting because I quite like her as a artist, so I gave that one 4 out of 5 stars. Then I checked out Parker on Netflix, as I've had this one in my queue for like a while, and I actually think this is one of my favourite Jason Statham films. I really enjoy this one. I thought he had is it Jennifer Lopez is his I think it's, I'm just gonna have to look it up because I'm just blanking on who is yeah, Jennifer Lopez. So I just had to double check that, but I thought they had really good chemistry, and it didn't actually, like, it wasn't a conventional, like, oh, the leading man and woman fall in love type story while all this action's going on. So I did actually appreciate that it did something a bit different, different there. So, but yeah, it was an enjoyable action film. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I finally checked out The Beach. So this was another Disney Plus film. I had this on DVD, and yeah, that was one of the movies that got sold. But I actually quite liked it. It was for like an early 2000s movie, and yeah, it's got a really great cast. Like, I didn't realize Tilda Swinton, is that how you say her name? I didn't realize she was in that, so that was sort of, so it's like, oh, this must be quite an early film for her. But I really liked Leonardo DiCaprio in this one as well. So yeah, it's quite an interesting, surreal film. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And then because I couldn't actually see it in the cinema because of lockdown, I ended up renting through Premier Access Jungle Cruise with The Rock and Emily Blunt, and I really enjoyed this one. This was such a fun action adventure film, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Yeah, it was just really entertaining, so I would have liked to have seen it in the cinema. Maybe if the cinemas reopen and they still have it as an option there, I may check it out on the big screen, but yeah, I still really enjoyed that. Then I rewatched Interstellar. Not my favourite Christopher Nolan film, but I still think it's really quite well done, and as I said, I really enjoy space adventure stories, so and it's always interesting revisiting this one because obviously there's so many not time travel, but time's not told, there's so much stuff where it's not a linear storyline, and yeah, it's quite interesting going back when you've watched the story a few times. So so yeah, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I finally continued, well, even though it's the only film I've managed to watch with my X-Men rewatch, and I watched X-Men Origins Wolverine. Okay, yeah, this is one that is also definitely grows on me. It's so interesting seeing how Deadpool was portrayed in this film, and obviously with the Deadpool films that we did eventually get, and it's yeah, we're really lucky we got the newer films and in that. So but yeah, I mean, it's not a horrible movie by any means, but I still enjoy watching it, and I really like Liev Schreiber, is that how you say his name, who plays Sabretooth? I really liked his portrayal, and I would have liked to have seen more like more from him in that aspect, but yeah, I give it 3.5 out of 5 stars. Then I rewatched La La Land. This is also another film that's been growing on me, because I think when I first saw it at the cinema, I just went in with too high expectations because everyone was raving about it, and then I was like, I don't quite see the appeal, but yeah, it's definitely growing on me, like more times than I've watched it. And then the last film that I watched in August was another rewatch, and that was Paris When It Sizzles. So this is, I think, a bit of an underrated Audrey Hepburn film, because I sort of love the whole story within a story, like, way that they tell it, and yeah, I really, yeah, it's just really fun sort of seeing how it plays out, and it's very meta and self-aware, and because there's one line of dialogue where he goes, like, they're doing the final chase scene, and he's like, one of the characters goes, "Oh, you're only third policeman, you're supposed to be quiet." I just sort of loved, like, the commentary and how it sort of does that. So yeah, it's 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was just fun rewatching it. So yeah, so that is everything that I watched in July and August. I'm only a few weeks late getting this video up this time, so because probably for September and October I'm going to be doing a separate video for 31 Days of Horror, because I want to really try and do it this year. I don't know if it'll work, but I'm going to aim to watch as many horror films as I can in October, so I will probably be doing a separate, like, I'll do September and October, and then I'll probably have a separate video just on the horror films that I watch, so we'll see if it works or not. But yeah, so that is it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and until my next video, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!